Hello and welcome to our webinar, Eat More for Fat Loss. I'm sure you're here because you really liked that title and it grabbed your attention, right? So how can we actually eat more? Because the typical diet keeps us feeling restricted and keeps us kind of cranky, looking at all the things we can't have and not really enjoying the things that we can. So we want to help you to be able to lose the right kind of weight and to keep it off without losing your mind. All right, so can you relate to any of these statements? I can't seem to lose any weight. I work out, but the number on the scale goes up. I try to eat healthy, but don't see any weight loss. Or I find myself thinking about food all the time. If you do, you probably start to do this. You eat less, you do more cardio, and then you feel miserable and more confused than ever because then you're getting even less results than you were in the first place. So what if I told you that your liver may actually be struggling to remove toxins, and the order that you eat your food actually plays a significant role in fat loss and metabolism? And maybe instead of an excess fat problem, we actually have an under muscle issue. Okay, so there's a lot of words on this screen, but what I want you to understand from this is that our fat is a place where toxins go to hang out. Our fat holds onto those toxins to protect us. And when our liver cannot keep up with the overload of toxins, because our liver is our natural detox partner, I guess, in our body that helps us to get rid of toxins. When the liver can't keep up and you have that combination of more toxins and then we have more fat, it all works together. And so the less our liver can do because it's backed up, the more fat we're going to have, the more toxins. So if you've ever seen any of these studies on rapid weight loss and how it can actually be really dangerous because it releases all these toxins, and if your liver can't keep up, you can actually get really sick. That is what we're talking about. That, you know, we have toxins all around us in our environment, in our skincare, in our makeup, in our water, in the foods we're eating, things that are being sprayed outside on grass, on foods, all of these things. And so I'm not saying this to overwhelm you, but just to give you an understanding of the fact that there is no such thing as a non-tox life now. It's more of a low tox with intentionally taking action to help our body in getting rid of the toxic load and burdens that we have. You can see some of these signs that your liver is struggling, specifically fatigue, trouble sleeping, headaches, migraines, skin problems, digestive issues like bloating or nausea, constipation, excess body fat, again, is another one of those. And then, there's a few more on here as well. So the other thing is that order of the food you eat matters. So when it comes to metabolism, and specifically in what happens when we eat, our glucose levels go up, our insulin levels rise, right, in order to break down that food. So actually eating protein and fiber, so if you think of like fibrous veggies, eating those first can actually lower and stabilize any spikes in glucose or insulin. And so what that means is it helps your body overall to be healthier in the long run. And so you can call it preloading. You can look at the study here. So the studies showed that, like, if you look at a typical sandwich, right, we have bread and we have meat. And so if you were to just eat the meat first and then eat the bread, you would actually have a more stable reaction in your body to that in your blood. Cool, huh? And then the last thing is, if you're a woman here and you're over 30, raise your hand. Yep, that's me. I'm 37. So every decade after 30, we start to lose 3 to 8% of our lean muscle mass. But here's the thing, we're not losing weight as we age, right? We're gaining weight. And so there was a study that was published in the Journal of Obesity that found that more than half of the participants gained 5% or more over a 10-year period. And so what they found was that if adults continue to gain this average amount of weight over a decade of their lives, they would actually put on more than 45 pounds. And so as we age, we're losing lean muscle, but we're not losing weight, we're gaining weight. So what's the deal, right? So clearly we're not gaining muscle. So I want to teach you how to reset your body, right? With those toxins, we talked about that, how to eat more and how to work out less to get results and feel your best so that you're losing fat for good, you're feeling better, and you're gaining clarity no matter what age you are. So the first step in this is how to reset. So this is getting rid of the bad in your body to make room for the good, and also creating a baseline of what good feels like for you, because when we don't feel good for so long, we forget what good actually feels like. And so we need to create this baseline also in our digestion of, so when we do eat something that doesn't sit well, we can quickly adjust and avoid eating those foods because of how it makes us feel, not because it's a good food or a bad food, right? And so how do we reset? Well, like I just said, we want to support our liver in toxin removal because the liver is what removes those toxins. We want to aid our guts in waste removal because we can have a lot of waste backed up in there. I think it's like 8 to 10 pounds of waste just hanging around, right? So we want to help get that removed from our body. We want to help stabilize our metabolism, prioritizing that protein. We want to reduce inflammation, and we just, at the baseline here, we want to make room for that good stuff, right? The second piece of this is, how do we actually eat more, right? We want to know, this is why you're here. You want to know how to eat more, but to lose fat. And it comes down to prioritizing this one key player that's going to help you get lasting results. And that's protein. Increasing your protein and eating it first, along with increasing your fiber and eating that first. And a good baseline for this is to aim for about 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal, or you can aim for about 100 grams a day, whichever works better for you, and then spread that out over 4 to 6 meals. Now, if you're not eating any protein right now, I'm sure you're eating some protein, but if you have no idea how much protein you're eating, instead of trying to go all in and change everything about what you're eating, instead pick one meal and start with that and add 20 to 30 grams of protein and make sure you're getting that consistently, and then move out from there. Add another meal and then do that consistently until you create that habit as part of who you are and what you do, not just what you do and what you're trying to do, right? If you were trying to lose weight simultaneously with building muscle, which we're going to talk about next, through exercise, then it's only a slight calorie deficit. And 1,200 calories is not enough. Okay, I'm going to repeat that again. 1,200 calories is not enough. You are an adult. You are not a child. You need more calories. And so using a macro calculator like Precision Nutrition, they have a free macro calculator. You can just Google that. What I love about that is it allows you to customize the percentages, the ratios of your macros. So macronutrients are the big nutrients that give us our energy and provide the building blocks for our bodies. Those are protein, carbs, and fat. And so some people do better with a little higher carb. Some people do better with a little higher fat. But we always want to make sure that we're prioritizing that protein most of all. And you can adjust those based on the baseline you created and how you feel best. And then aiming for food volume, right? So dark leafy greens, fibrous things that we can eat a lot of, right? They're nutrient dense, but they're not calorie dense, right? And so that just helps us to feel full longer. And then the other thing is to eat before you're hungry. I used to be notorious for making dinner and snacking all the way through making dinner and then not being hungry when I actually sat down to eat. And so then I wasn't getting a balanced meal. I definitely wasn't eating protein first. It was usually chips and dip of some kind. And so making sure that I'm eating before I'm hungry. And I know Karen is going to be sharing her story here in just a few minutes. And she's going to share a little bit more about that and what that's looked like for her. So then the last one here is how to work out less. The point of working out is to challenge our body, but specifically to help increase our lean muscle mass, because the more lean muscle mass we have, the more calories we burn at rest. Protein takes longer to digest, so it has a higher thermogenic effect, meaning that it takes more calories to burn versus carbs or fat. And so when we pair our workouts with protein, what we're doing is we're increasing our muscles while reducing our stress and getting maximum gains. So we do this by resistance training, so using body weight using free weights, bands, anything that adds resistance to our training, weight-bearing exercise. Especially as women, as we age, our bone density starts to decrease, which is directly correlated to our lean muscle mass, which also starts to decrease unless we're doing something intentional about it. And so weight-bearing exercise is how, paired with protein, is how we increase the density of our bones and avoid all of the long-term bone density issues associated with women as we age, right? The other thing is important to start with core strength and stabilization. So instead of going all in and hard on a workout, focus on stabilizing, making sure that your body is balanced, making sure that your core strength, we're not talking about abs here, we're talking about those muscles that actually wrap around your spine and keep everything in place, and that cross the back of your body and the front of your body, keeping you stabilized, right? We want to focus on challenging our muscles. So we're not talking about some little goofy dumbbells here. We're talking about something that's hard enough that it's a struggle, but light enough that you can keep good form, right? Slow and controlled movements here. And then giving yourself proper time for recovery, because it's in the rest and recovery that when we exercise and we challenge our muscles are actually tearing, and it's through the repair process that they strengthen and become stronger on the other side. But if we continue that to stress our bodies out too much, what happens is inflammation goes off the charts and our bodies cannot recover from that. So sleep is so important, because that's when our body goes through all that repair and recovery. And then instead of doing endless hours of cardio, doing things like HIIT, where you are, getting that heart rate up. But I'll tell you, if you've ever done a workout with lifting some heavy dumbbells, you might not be moving quickly, but because you are engaging such large muscle groups, your body is working and you will start to breathe heavy. Your heart rate will increase to get blood to those muscles. And then again, it's over habit creation. You could not expect to build a fit, healthy body by going to the gym for 13 hours one time a week, right? It's actually better to start small, 10 minutes for a couple days a week until you build that up, and focus on the habit of and the identity of, this is what I do, this is who I am, not just something that I do, right? So important. So now I think we have Karen here. Karen is going to share her story of how this all come together and looked like for her. And I know you guys are going to be able to relate to her story. So take it away, Karen.
Yeah, I'm just going to give you kind of a real life example of everything that Chelsea has been talking about today. I was almost 50 and was really struggling to lose weight. I was trying to do things. I thought I knew what I was doing by eating lots of salads, lots of vegetables, and just smaller amounts of food. But it really wasn't until I learned about macros, specifically protein, when I realized that I wasn't giving my body what it needed. So I started to track the macros and keep track of what I was eating. And what I discovered, two sort of surprising things for me. One, I didn't think I was going to be able to eat all of the food that ended up on my plate. When you put like 4 ounces of chicken and all the vegetables, I would look at that and think, there is no way I'm going to be able to eat all of that. And to be honest, at first, it might have been a little bit hard sometimes, but my body got used to that. And then it started craving those types of foods. And then the second thing that I had to learn was to eat even when I wasn't hungry. So I eat 5 meals a day. Usually it's about every 3 hours or so. And again, it was hard to get used to that, because sometimes it's hard to eat when you're not hungry. You just don't feel like eating. But again, you have to change your mindset and realize that if your body is telling you it's hungry, it's already too late, sort of. Your body is already depleted of fuel. You need to fuel it before you get hungry. So I did lose about 20 pounds in a year. But really, it wasn't until I started adding in that exercise piece, the strength specifically is what I like to do, that I started noticing the biggest change in my body. I started to change shape. And people were asking me how much weight I had lost, and were shocked when I would tell them I didn't lose any weight. I just changed shape. And I did that because I was replacing the fat with the muscle. So that's what I really want to leave you with today. I want you to remember that fat loss doesn't necessarily mean a lower number on the scale. I want you to throw away the scale. Like, the scale is not what's important here. What's important is how you feel, how you look, and basically the shape of your body, like how your clothes fit, things like that. That's what's more important. That number on the scale means absolutely nothing.
Right. Because, and thank you for sharing your story, Karen, because I think it's so relatable that, we can get so caught up in that number on the scale. But when we're talking about actually losing fat and building lean muscle, our bodies just become more efficient at doing the things they need to do. And so many times, we're replacing the fat with muscle, right? I mean, we're not actually, but in this space wise. So we notice that our clothes fit better. The number of inches, right, in our body measurements decreases, but you're right, the number on the scale doesn't change. And so all of this, we want to give you a practical way and what has worked for us through getting rid of the toxins, replenishing nutrients, and prioritizing the protein. But to do it in a way that you're not adding more toxins into your body, because when it comes to nutritional products, there's a lot out there in the Wild West, and it's really hard to know what's good. So we use the world's most clinically proven nutritional products because there's a zero tolerance for any kind of contaminants, whether it's pesticides, heavy metals, residues, contaminants of any kind, from raw ingredient through finished product every single time. And so we also want to give you a practical way, and I'm going to tell you about that in just a second, for you to use this, because we don't just want to sell you a product here today and say bye, good luck. We actually want to help you in this process that has been so life-changing for both Karen and myself, that really gave us our vitality back when we were told that the things we were feeling and the things we were experiencing were normal. But just because they're common doesn't mean it has to be your normal. And so these three products that are in this kit, the Reset and Recharge, it's the Life Shake, which is a protein, right? And it also has essential vitamins and minerals in there. The 7-Day Healthy Cleanse, which is what helps to aid the body in removal of toxins and waste, and really to reset and jumpstart metabolism. And Up and Glowing, which is an easier and delicious way to get even more protein in your diet. So you just have to use code WELLNESS for this. And that gives you enough time to order before your next step in this is to join us in our next 5-day reset group, where we're going to be using these products to help us do those three things. We're going to be getting rid of the toxins. We're going to be prioritizing that protein. And because that this reset is gentle and uses protein and it isn't a super calorie deficit, you can still pair it with exercise while you're doing it. So what's a reset? You probably are asking. Well, it's 5 days and 2 products. The Up and Glowing can also be used as well. But the primary 2 products are the Life Shake and the AM and PM supplements that come from that 7-Day Healthy Cleanse. And it's so every day, it's just 2 to 3 Life Shakes, a big salad, veggies, water to help flush out those toxins, in the AM and PM supplements. And the best part about this is it's doable. It's only 5 days. You're not starving because you're using real food and protein, and you have that accountability and community, and it's just more fun like that. And so I wanted to include a couple more stories here just so you could see, that it's not just us, that other people are doing this as well. And they're not just getting immediate results of losing about, 7 to 12 pounds, which is very common for this. But that's not fat loss, right? That's that excess waste, excess toxins, water weight, all of those things. But what it did is jump-started healthy habits, jump-started weight loss and metabolism, and really laid the framework for that baseline that I talked about earlier of really understanding what feels good for your body and what doesn't. And so, yeah, I mean, just check out these pictures. I mean, you can see like just amazing, right? Like clear results, clear and evident in just 5 days. So with that, I also wanted to give you, because, when you're looking at adding more protein, the biggest question that comes in is, okay, how do I get 100 grams of protein a day, right? And here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a free quick protein PDF guide. It's a 4-page guide that gives you like carb, protein, fat combinations. So say like cottage cheese and fruit, and the cottage cheese actually has the fat and the protein in it, and the fruit is your carbs, right? Or like with berries, and that has your fiber in there too. So it has like a ton of examples, 4 pages of examples of quick and easy power plates, if you will, of quick high protein meals that we want to gift you. So that is all. I hope you enjoyed this, and we will talk to you soon. Reach out to the person who invited you or shared this with you and ask your questions and get your reset and recharge so you can join us. We kick off on April 28th, and we go through May 2nd on that. We'll see you inside.